In this podcast, hear how Ian and Charlotte went from selling a few items from around the house to running a successful multi-channel marketplace business. It's now November and they've started to see the uplift in sales. They're expecting a 50% increase on last year. Stay tuned to hear their story.
Ian, can you tell us a bit more about what your business does?
Yeah, sure. Our business is predominantly a footwear business. We don't have any bricks and mortar stores, and we're purely online. So essentially an online footwear retailer for both men and women.
Okay, so when did the business actually start? What provoked you to go and start an online footwear business?
Interesting question. Okay, so this concept originally started about 10 years ago when my partner Charlotte was pregnant with our first child, Luke. She decided to stay at home, and I guess she was just bored stiff at being at home because she's quite a dynamic and proactive person. So
I've met Charlotte. She's very proactive, to say the least.
So I guess about 10 years ago when eBay was taking off and everyone was jumping onto the eBay bandwagon and started dabbling in selling items, buying items, stuff like that, it became quite an addictive hobby for a lot of people. And out of eBay came a business because she was hunting around the house for things that she no longer needed, had put in the loft or in the garage that, it was just gathering dust. And because she was addicted to this whole eBay drug of buying and selling stuff on eBay, she started flogging other things on eBay. And soon that developed from a hobby into, actually, I can go and find other products out there and sell them on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for women, shoes is just one of those things that they think of, and just it fell in her lap. So anyway, she went out, she bought tons of shoes, she dabbled, and it was a success.
Sounds like every woman's dream, that, Ian.
I know it is, isn't it? Because I would never, ever in a million years think of, well, let's go sell shoes. But anyway, that's what she wanted to do, and that's what she did. And I don't know, I guess probably 3 years after doing that, she's getting a bit bored, and then she decided, well, she's going to knock that on the head and perhaps go and try something else. But she didn't know what she wanted to do in the interim. So she went back to work, got a full-time job again, and, where you have all the security, none of the hassle about running your own business and tax and blah, blah, blah. And I then said to her the one day, I said, what are you doing this for? There's a lot more opportunity out there. And because I've got a lot of experience in online and various different technologies, because that's my background, we sat down, drew up a small little business plan on the back of a piece of paper, having coffee one day. And I said, well, if you did this and thought of maybe expanding into branded footwear and expanded your range even further in unbranded footwear, then, you really could build your own brand and just see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did. We got a small budget together. We went out to we set up meetings with a whole lot of suppliers we had relationships with. We said, we're back on the scene. We want to give this a go. And, we had all the stock arrive, and we thought, oh gosh, there's a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah.
And, so we just set up from there. I guess, really starting out of our garage again, and we just carried on building and continued investing all the profits back into the business. Eventually we needed bigger premises, so we started renting a small warehouse. We moved out of a small warehouse into a bigger warehouse, and now into the warehouse we currently have. So
it sounds like you've been for a few moves already then.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. And I think capacity management is key when you're running your own online business, because you've got to be thinking about your growth. You've got to be thinking, right, how much capacity do I have going forward for the next 5 years? And is it going to be sufficient? Et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, cut a long story short, that's how this company basically began. It was purely just a hobby. And then we just sat down one day and said, actually, there's more we can do with this. Let's give it a proper go. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so we're recording this in November 2013, and one question which we're kind of itching to ask is that, have you started to see the pickup in sales now for Christmas, and how is this year going to compare to last year?
Yeah, we've already seen that trend and that curve in sales, the increase in sales and so forth. And I think there's a lot of panic buyers out there, kind of thinking, well, I need to get my shopping in now so I don't have to panic, a couple of days before Christmas, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, we are seeing a definite increase in sales. How is this year going to compare to last year? I'm expecting at least a 50% increase in sales.
Yikes.
Is that 50%?
Yeah, we've got a pretty aggressive growth plan, and we previously, when you work for yourself, it's very difficult to predict how much you're going to grow, because everything is based on pounds and pennies. How much money do you really have to play with? And the biggest failure we've had in recent years is that if you don't have the cash flow to back your plan, it's not going to work. This year, we've invested quite heavily into stock, and we've invested into stock very early on. We've secured our stock, and we've got no option but to sell it, so it will sell.
There's no two ways about it. You're committed. You're both feet in.
That's it. Yeah, and based on the stock volume we have, yeah, we be expecting at least a 50% increase in stock. Yeah.
Okay. You've just had a new template redesigned for one of your eBay accounts. How did you find that? Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, awesome. Really, really cool. The template was designed by Design Hub. Extremely professional guys, very nice, extremely talented, friendly, professional. I can't praise them enough. They're just such great people to work with. They were so quick. They were pressing me for stuff almost on a daily basis, and I just couldn't keep up with them.
Sorry, just to jump in there. It's funny you should say that, because we've literally just recorded another podcast with Nigel, and they were having their Magento site designs, and yeah, it took them a while, but it was pretty much daily communications going on with these guys, like once, twice, 3 times a day, or can we change that, or can you change that, or what about this going on in the background? Was that the same kind of experience for you?
Yeah, exactly. But the experience for me was they were chasing me a lot. They were going, "Hey, Ian, we've got this far. We've done this. We need your approval." And I'd send through an email. Yeah, that's great. Or just make that small change. And literally within, minutes, they would come back with that change, and I'd be like, "Wow!" The wow factor was amazing. Because normally it's me chasing people, and it's normally me on people's backs going, I need that, I need it today, and let's get it going. But certainly these guys are really quick. So yeah, they gave me the template, they gave me the order code and so forth, and then I went in and made various tiny little CSS changes with colors and stuff like that. The impact it's had has been, hugely beneficial.
Because you had a template before as well, which was pretty good, and you wanted to change some of the elements around and go to a stripe format, as I call them, which is the header on the top, and then you then get straight into the meat of the listing straight away, image, some bullet points, some bite-sized stuff, and then into the product description, and then related products, etc., etc.
Yeah, exactly. So when I'm looking at, I guess when you relate to reading a newspaper, you look at a newspaper, you have a look at the headline, and then your eye is automatically drawn to the picture, and the pictures are always predominantly on the left, and then you go and read the text on on the right if you're really interested in that article or whatever it is that you're reading. The same applies to web. And I've managed to take a listing that was pretty much 2 pages long because you've got so much gump in there, and reduce that down to a single page, and everything is readable, everything is concise. You don't have to hunt for the information anymore. It's easy on the eye. So yeah, we're happy with that. And then we dropped in the Widget Chimp related items widget and the Widget Chimp feedback widget to the bottom of that. And then we've skinned that up using the same colors and so forth. So if a user's looking at it or a customer's looking at a product and they're reading through, it's consistent all the way through. It's not broken up in any way. It's just consistent all the way through. And I think that really, really helps.
Yeah, I'm just looking at one of your listings right now on eBay, and you've got the branding for women's boots at the top. You've got bite-sized information. You get straight into the item specifics. You've got yourself a size chart, and you've got what's that, 1, 2, you've got 6 images of the products in there as well. And then you get into the feedback for just basically social recognition. You've got some alternatives in the related items, and then you've also got your categories at the bottom as well, so they can go into boots, wellies, and heels, and wedges, and so on and so forth. And you've also got your brand recognition in there as well. You've got Fly, you've got Timberland, Jack and Jones, and Animal in there for brand recognition to the customer. So they've got exit links so they can get back to basically do anything other than press the back button. You're giving customers options if that item isn't the right item for them.
Exactly. I mean, I've been looking at a lot of templates of other people selling on eBay and having a look at their templates and getting hugely frustrated when I can't navigate around or can't find the information that I need, or how to contact this person, or, all of those little frustrating things that just makes you go, right, I'm going to go somewhere else. And, I wrote down a wish list of all the things that I wanted on a template, and then gone, right, that's my plan, that's what I need, and that's what I gave to the guys over at Design Hub, and then they've come up with this, which is, it's simple, it's clean, it's easy, it's friendly on the eye, it works, which is most important. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that.
Changing the subject slightly, you're using Magento, but not for just one site, you've got 2. How have you found the transition from the previous provider to using Magento? What has there been any bad things which have happened? What good things have you found? And if you want to change something, how is it easy for you to do that? How have you found the experience?
Okay, sum it up. Magento is probably the best platform I've ever worked on. The history to our business, I think I've done 3 migrations of various different providers to date.
Yeah, I'm shivering at the thought of that. I know what the actual cost is to migrate from one platform to another, and if you to do it more than once in a business lifetime, it hurts. And you've done it 3 times. Yikes!
I have, yeah.
It's not just cost either, is it? It's the time to adapt to the new system, train the staff up, and
Absolutely, Dave. And one of the biggest things when we kept migrating it wasn't down to the platforms that we were on. That wasn't the reason. The platforms and the technology that we're operating were sufficient to do the job. They were brilliant. I had no problem with the technology. The biggest problem I had was with the companies managing my website. If I wanted anything done, they basically slapped me with an invoice. That's going to cost you X amount. And it would be like, look, I know that's a simple thing, and there's no way on God's little earth that's, going to cost me so much money to make such a small change. Because there's just so many people out there really raking in on this web scene, and they don't need to, because, I don't know. Anyway,
you're being held to ransom.
I was a mug. So, working on Magento is simple. Really, really simple. I've taught myself a lot. I was scared about Magento to start with, of all the horror stories I had read, oh, it's very heavy, it's resource intensive, it's complicated, blah, 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 blah. But actually, when we decided to go to Magento, I had a look at the pros, I had a look at the cons, said, let's just do it. It sounds like it's going to be the tool for us to use. We went and got a dedicated server, stuck our sites on that. Technically, yes, it is a bit of a challenge if you're not a technical person, but there's loads and loads of Magento techies out there that can help you and are willing to help you. But from getting a site up and running on Magento, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, because you just use the one-click installers from the server administration panel and just got it yourself installed, change your settings, and then you went even further because you've even designed your own custom themes as well, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just go buy a theme, drop it on, make some CSS changes, and it all uses blocks and so forth. So it's just so easy. I wish I knew about Magento, 5 years ago, because I'd be light years ahead of where I am now. But, that's the learning curve.
It is indeed. I'm just thinking back, it was only like 6 months ago when I actually got into theming Magento websites properly. And I always knew that they had this fallback mechanism for, and you could create child themes. So we literally just bought an off-the-shelf theme and put that into its own directory. And then you can run, if you want to change something, you don't have to change like the core system files. In fact, you should never change those. You literally just copy the file, put it in a new directory, which is in the same structure, and you change that one file. So when you upgrade to like version 1.8, which we've just had, or the original theme which you purchased gets updated, is that you can update it, and you only need to change the little bits which you elected to overwrite and put your own changes in. And it's a bit of a weird one to get your head around in the beginning, but updating is not a problem because it either works or it doesn't. And the bit which doesn't work, well, you've got the original files to go back to and then pull off those.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, it's maybe just the way I'm wired. Sometimes I have to set myself little challenges. So I've managed to successfully break my Magento site, well, both sites, twice. And when you're in hot water and you need to recover because you're losing sales, you learn very, very quickly. So, I've managed to get a Magento site recovered within, a space of a weekend, with all my data back up and online and trading again on Monday morning.
I remember that Skype message.
Exactly. So, Magento really isn't all that difficult. And, you go on to any search provider, Google, Yahoo, whoever you want to use, and type in Magento, I don't know, static blocks. You'll get thousands of threads of people, giving answers to technical questions that, you might not know anything about. I mean, there's just the resources and the expertise out there is phenomenal. I think there's more people out there that know about Magento than any other.
I think that's down to it being written in PHP and MySQL. And I think I even made a change for one of your category pages as well, so we could put the colours and the shoe sizes available underneath the item as well. That was really good fun. The moment, and I think Stack Overflow. .com, and then again, if I've got any coding problems or roughly know what I want to do, straight into Stack Overflow, type in the rough search, and I get the answers. And it was really straightforward. So I think I just needed to hijack the attribute set and the attributes in there, and of course just run a little bit of processing code. I think I actually published the final code on the last drop of ink site in the end.
It is, it's up there.
Indeed, that's right. Indeed. So let's change the subject slightly again. What does eBay mean to your business? Could you survive without eBay? What would it be like, and how has eBay helped you?
eBay is a great marketplace. I never used to like eBay to start with. In fact, I never ever bought anything off eBay until about 2 or 3 years ago. To me, eBay was a bad word, but you know what? It really isn't, because I've come around to understand that eBay is a great marketplace and that, it's a great community. if it wasn't for eBay, we would not be able to grow as fast as we've grown. It's a phenomenal marketplace. The customers on there. Yes, you do have a lot of loyal customers, but I think, there's people are out there for cheap and cheerful items, get it fast, etc., etc. I don't want to talk about the negatives, but the velocity of sales that you get on eBay is phenomenal. If I ever want to test a product, first place I go is eBay. Stick it up there, see what kind of reaction I get. If I get a good reaction, do you know what? I'm going to get more of that product.
And again, with footwear my experience, I worked for a company called MicroSwish, and they never knew what they were going to get on a Monday morning because they were dealing with branded footwear. And the thing is, with fashion, it doesn't matter if it's just footwear, it's any form of fashion. It just moves so quickly. And again, I'm probably talking to the converted, is that if it snowed tomorrow, then snow boots would come pretty much immediately into fashion, and then they would spike for that.
Yeah.
But then if it doesn't snow this Christmas or over the winter, then that's just a complete dud product, and you've got to be able to react. So
that's absolutely correct, Matt. That's exactly how eBay works. I cannot believe I have doctors and lawyers on eBay buying from me. And those guys come back because we give them great service. They know us by name now. They got our phone numbers. They always come back and they want more. But those guys could easily go out and go anywhere else. Why do they choose eBay? The name stands for itself. It is a trusted marketplace. And I had a really, I don't know, maybe it was a mental block in my head, but it took me a long time to overcome it. Because I used to think eBay was a horrible place, but actually, you know what? I love it. Now when I shop for anything, where's the first place I go? Onto eBay. I don't even bother looking on the high street. eBay's the one-stop shop for everything.
It's the same with me. I mean, I did about 95% of my Christmas shopping last year on eBay.
Yeah,
purely because I hate the high street.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's really easy for men to say that because, ladies generally are the ones that love shopping and go out on the high street and have a coffee and a bit of lunch and et cetera, et cetera. I'm a kind of guy, if I need something and it's on the high street, I walk into the shop, I buy it, I walk out, done. I'll go home. That's my shopping experience over with. But on eBay, it's simple. You can sit there and browse and browse and browse until you find the product you want because it's all on eBay. Everything's up there.
Crazy. Now, so from a seller's perspective, and again, I remember the Skype message which you sent me on this one, was that we had some image requirement changes for on eBay that we had to remove the junk and the graffiti from the actual product images. And they gave us something like 6 months notice and only just started that enforcing, I think it was in September for it. But on the flip side, Amazon dumped you with a 14-day notice. Can you explain that a little bit more? And again, it's the reason why I'm asking this is to give your experience between the different marketplaces out there and how they're wired differently. I think that's probably the best way of explaining it.
Yeah, sure. So, okay. Yeah, this one I can answer in several different ways. We're really proud and passionate about what we do. And we've come up with a very unique way of taking our pictures that no one else does it the same way that we do it. And our process is very, very simple. But when we upload our products to eBay, Amazon, our own websites, etc., there's a little point of difference because I don't want my pictures to be exactly the same across all the channels I'm using. So there's on eBay, as an example, we would perhaps use some model shots, especially where we're selling boots in the winter. So as an example, we'll get a model in, she'd model the boots for us and we'd edit our pictures and upload them to eBay. And we did the same for Amazon. But then Amazon slapped us with this 14-day notice, suspension notice, and said, well, you've got 14 days to change all your images to fall in line with our image requirements. Otherwise, you're just going to suspend your account.
Ouch.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got 30,000 products and stuff, or, more, different SKUs, it's an impossible task to do within 14 days. But, what Amazon says, you do. It's that simple. Where with, eBay, we've stuck with what works. If modeled shots works for us on eBay, then that's what we'll use on eBay. But unfortunately, that's not allowed on Amazon, so we have to comply. And I think you just have to adapt. You've got to learn to adapt. As frustrating as it is, it's come at the wrong time of the year. Adapt or die, And
I mean,
for us, we have to adapt.
That's it. I mean, you could argue with Amazon all you wanted, but at the end of the day, they're not going to change it. So the onus is on you. You either like it or you get off their marketplace.
Exactly right, Dave. And for us, we're very grateful to be one of those guys that are allowed to sell through the Amazon marketplace. I know it's a gated community. I know not just anyone can get in there and sell their products on Amazon. And for us, Amazon's another great marketplace. I love Amazon. I think, can I say customer loyalty? I don't know. It's a different customer on Amazon.
It's a completely
again.
different type of customer on Amazon. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I can completely understand why Amazon are doing what they're doing. And I don't argue with it. It's just, 14 days. Although, in fairness to Amazon, they did publish this one in June, but I didn't bother reading it. So it's probably my fault that, I never bothered reading their image requirements. And so because I haven't abided by their new image requirements or whatever it is. So, I need to step in line and make sure we change all our images to abide by their rules and regulations. And, we're working on that at the moment. We're working very hard on that. I have, my photographers and graphic designers working around the clock on that at the moment, 7 days a week. And we are actually, we're almost there. Tomorrow we will be doing probably another 300 or 400 different SKUs. And by tomorrow evening, I would say that probably 60% of our stock would have been changed onto the new format. So for us,
I'm just looking at eBay, and apparently there's 9,000 plus results on there, and to turn that round in such a little tight time frame, it's spinning it on a penny. It's just insane.
Yeah, what we've done, Matt, is we've broken it down into various different percentages. So what we've done is we've gone, right, okay, all our winter product that has come in, this season is a have to. You've got to do that, and that's the first priority. Then we've broken it down by further percentages, and those percentages have been based on how many items we actually have in stock for that specific SKU. So as an example, if it's a lady's high heel, but it happens to be yellow, which is a very summery color, am I going to be in a rush to change it over for now, for December, for winter? No, I don't think so. So, and especially if I've only got 3 or 4, maybe even 5 of that SKU in stock. So that's coming last. So we've been focusing on all the critical stuff where we're going to be getting ourselves over the winter and converting those first, and then working on the rest of the not so critical stuff, and then publishing that as a second wave. And then the third wave would be either just reduce prices and stuff that is a bit old, that's past its shelf life, or actually invest the time in redoing the pictures, cleaning them up, etc., and publishing. So yeah, we're almost there. I've been working over the last couple of days with the photographers and the guys in our studio, just trying to get things going, because to do 100, 200 products a day is a big, tall ask. So because it's not just getting the product off the shelf, sticking it on a bench, taking a picture. That photographer wants all the labels of that product, any tags of the product. If that product's been bagged, he wants the product out the bag. He wants to fill the boot with some paper to puff the boot out. So there's a bit of prep work involved. So, just to get that assembly line going. Yeah, but it's been good. It's been good. It brings us back down to earth, because it just shows you, what? It's Amazon's marketplace, and if they say jump, you say how high.
Indeed. Does that mean you've had to take items off Amazon?
We will do, but we won't know what they're going to be until tomorrow, because tomorrow midnight is not our cut-off time, but I just want to be safe than sorry. I want to give myself a bit of contingency time if anything goes
Again,
wrong.
because you don't want the slap and that's it then for 30 days, etc., I presume.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I don't want to give anybody an excuse to come back to me and say, well, you haven't complied with what we've asked you to do. So we're giving ourselves a bit of contingency time to work with that. But, I have got a guy over at Amazon that I've been speaking to via email, keeping him in the loop, saying, look, we're really working hard on this. We're expecting to meet your 14-day period, etc., etc. But, could I have a chat with you in person at some point to give you a status update as to where we are? So, I'm setting an expectation that we maybe 60% of the way there, and we've got a little way to still to go. Perhaps they will give us a bit more of a leeway, maybe another 7 days, maybe another 14 days, because we've been working with them. I don't know. But,
okay. I was going to ask you, what one tip would you give to someone listening to this who wanted to start online? But I think you've actually been and answered quite a few of these already. Well, you've dropped several of these already in there, which is like, just things will change. It doesn't matter what you do. The marketplaces just change, and you've got to roll with the punches as well. And the other one you mentioned was adapt or die. I think you're given any choice, are you, to a degree?
Yeah, exactly. I think, the world of e-commerce is evolving so quickly. I think, in the early days, maybe 10 years ago, if you were one of the first guys to jump onto the e-commerce bandwagon, you'd probably be a huge player in the market today. And if you did start 10 years ago, it's easy. It's easy for you now because, you've got a couple of 100,000 people on your mail list that you can, send emails out to. You've got the products, you've got the budget, you've got your buyers and stuff, you've got your warehousing. You an SEO guru, you've been through the painful process. But with saying that, it's actually become easier to get into e-commerce these days. Magento is free to download. Go find yourself a host, get yourself a product, and start selling your product. I think, the thing, and not only that, people are more educated these days as far as the internet's concerned, SEO is concerned, etc., etc. So if you did start 10 years ago, you're probably a big player. But if you start tomorrow in e-commerce, you can still become a big player because it's become easier for a lot of, for us, because technology is there. Products are readily available. The marketplaces are open. And I think if you're going to start up and sell a product tomorrow or want to run your own online business, have a plan and stick to it. That's it. Set up a plan and just stick to it, because if you don't have a plan, then, you're not going to go anywhere.
As my dad always said, failing to plan is planning to fail.
Exactly right. Very true. Sometimes I'll wing it, though.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of that as well.
Yeah,
bit of luck on your side.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed. And we just said in the last podcast was that we've been trying to do like a forecast for understanding into next year, and just frankly, we haven't got a clue. It doesn't matter what numbers you run, we're just building this target to go for, and Dave's looking ahead, and I'm just looking at January the 1st, and that's my target. And I think I mentioned in the podcast with Nigel earlier, was that we've just had kind of like, well, I had just like laser-like focus on what's going on, and I've got all this stuff going on in the background, and I'm just going, ignore it. Actually, that one's urgent, but that can go over there, and just ploughing on with just one single goal, which we've just labelled. Yeah, for us, it's a timestamp. It's called January the 1st, But for you, that could be a certain point of turnover. For example, it could be a set number of customers. It could be anything which you basically say, anything in your plan. Just have a plan and just aim directly at it. And it doesn't matter if you end up over there or over there. At least you had somewhere you were supposed to be going. And when you get there, you know where you should have been. So you know if you've gone backwards, you know that if you've gone past it, or you've gone off on one side stand. That's okay, but at least you had a goal to aim for, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, if you've got a plan, stick to it, remain committed, but have fun at the same time, because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then there's no point doing it. I've always loved the concept of e-commerce, my history. I mean, I'm originally from South Africa, and I was involved in one of the first online banking systems with First National Bank in South Africa. I developed one of the first e-recruitment systems in South Africa. I was one of the first people to use 128-bit SSL, in South Africa. I mean, all of these technologies today, they're one-click installs. They're things you get anywhere, But you're talking about South Africa, and you're talking about South Africa 15 years ago, where 28K modem was fast internet speeds, and to have done the things that I've done 15 years ago in a country that never really had broadband, I think is quite remarkable. But e-commerce has always been a passion for me, always been a huge passion for me. And, in fact, I never knew that a person could actually sell on Amazon as a retailer only after the birth of our company, only after we decided to do everything above board, have a limited company, not just trade on eBay as this is a hobby for us. When we went and set up a limited company, it was probably about 3 months later, I realized, you can actually go and sell on Amazon too. I mean, I was thinking, let's just have our own website, build our own brand, and that's where it's going to be. But, things, our plan changed and we went with it. And so it's worked out for us.
Excellent.
Which is great.
Excellent. Ian, for myself and Dave, thank you for joining us. It's been quite an insight.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
In this podcast you heard from Ian and how they went from clearing a few items out of their house out of sheer boredom to a successful multi-channel business that is hungry for massive growth. If you would like to be included on a podcast just like this one and wear the badge of an entrepreneur, email myself and Dave at support@understandinge.com. Also, you can grab the next installment and listen to another business owner just like you. We're on iTunes, and the link is just under this article on our website. So from myself and Dave, and of course Ian, thank you for taking the time to listen. We'll see you soon.